It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knightsmed Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The Ministry of Health has launched yet another service under Universal Health Coverage. This new service includes conducting pap smears using liquid-based cytology, which will assist in eliminating cervical cancer.
This new method of conducting pap smears is more comfortable and more convenient. So ladies, contact your nearest wellness center to get to know about our pap smear clinics.
Turnaround time for HPV testing is 1 week. Any abnormal or positive test, there'll be a following week for cytology testing. We're also going to test for HPV strain 16 and 18, which are most aggressive, which cause cervical cancer. We can also test for other STIs such as herpes simplex type 1 and type 2, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and others.
Patients with an abnormal HPV and an abnormal cytology shall be referred to the colposcopy clinic. At that clinic, we shall assure that you get the proper treatment and guidance.
So come in and access this new service. Your health is our priority.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Another wonderful Monday afternoon to you, everyone. Welcome once again to another program and indeed the start of another week of The Real Issues. With me, Shelton Daniel, your host and producer, alongside Alton Jaquan Joseph, our technical operator. Hope you're having a good day so far. Hope you had a good weekend. Enjoyable, restful, and everything that you expect of a weekend. And we're happy to be off again. Our program is weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on Real FM radio station that serves you on two frequencies, 91.3 for the northern part of St. Lucia and 91.5 for the south. We're also simulcasting on MBC Television, channel 120, on the Flow Cable TV service. We are also on Facebook Live and streaming live on YouTube as well. Where do I start? I try not to say the same things over and over again, but weren't we all witness to, audience to, being fed about all the equipment that was being given to the police, the four-wheeled, the two-wheeled, motorcycles, vans, pickups, even jet skis that were given to the police so they can do marine patrols and so on. Why am I getting the sense that the police don't have the roads under control, under patrol? That we, on whose behalf the police act, that we've lost the fight of proper road safety and traffic management. It just doesn't seem to be happening. There is a craziness that is taking place, a multifaceted craziness on our roads, and it seems like it is getting worse. I mean, I could mention so many things. I had to pull off the road in the Badouange area because somebody, without giving any indication to say, okay, he's driving behind another vehicle, so he puts on one of his indicators or signaling lights. He just comes around the other vehicle in one fast, roaring, fierce, and he's coming straight at me. Thankfully, the Badouange flat, there is a lot of side space on the roads if there is nobody, because you do that and danger is some vendor, some pedestrian, some parked vehicle, you run into them. But I was able to pull up. But that's not the worst of it. You are being disoriented on the roads because nowadays it seems like people believe that traffic lights or vehicle lights are for decoration, they are for show off, they are for mobile rolling discotheque, it's for strobe, it's for mirror ball effect, and I mean all kind of crazy lighting patterns and arrangements, are being mounted on vehicles. Fog lights, people have headlights, but they have fog lights on at the same time, and on top of it all, they ain't dimming them, They ain't dimming them at all. They have them at full brightness. They have all kinds of LED, white colored lights and so on. I mean, all kinds of madness. People driving without lights because, I suppose they feel that the street lights are enough and they want to show that, they don't have bad eyes like Zeopa, Gate, Shelton, Daniel, so you start drive sunlight. This is not about whether you can see. You want to show off how good you are. That's not what lights are about. They're not about show off. They're not about decoration. They're about road safety. You're supposed to turn on your headlights, not your fog light, not your park light. The moment the street lights get turned on, that is considered to be the driving signal of sunset. You're not supposed to be driving with your park lights but no headlights, but you have fog lights or whatever you decide. Your park lights, for if you stop, you're supposed to, when you are stationary, turn off your headlights but leave your park lights on. If you stop, if you're stationary in the period where you should have headlights, you turn off the headlight. Some of them, they're stationary, but the headlights on, and not just on, they have them on bright. So you coming, you're disoriented, you're not sure if this is a moving vehicle, you're not sure which side of the road the vehicle is on, all kinds of weird things that are going on. Big trucks, really big heavy duty trucks now have lights on their windscreen, lights flashing. They don't have headlights, they have pinhole lights and so on of a different color. What is going on with those flashing lights and so on? Don't tell me if everybody can see them, the police can't see them. And like I said, nobody expects you all to bust every single offender. But bust some, man. Bust a few of them and the word will go around that the police out and they're pulling up people for all this crazy kind of lights that they're having and so on. Are those lights a side hustle for some cops maybe? It's known to happen, that some of the things that are breaking the law represent the little side hustle of somebody in authority or some cop who have some auto part shop and he's importing those things. So, maybe they don't want to go and bust the people because it will hurt their business. Not that I know anything. But you have to ask yourself, was it Friday night or Saturday? I'm driving along the Millennium Highway, going to do my usual little check of the progress of things. And a motorcyclist is behind me. And he has those flashing lights. And those things it's not just in my mirror. I have to adjust my mirror to effect. But these things, they're flashing inside the vehicle. Like they're exploding inside my vehicle. And I'm saying to myself, normally motorcyclists are eager to overtake you, to show you, I suppose, they can whiz and zip past you. I'm wondering, why is this motorcyclist being patient, holding back behind me? Until it occurred to me, maybe the guy is having fun. He probably knows the effect that his flashing strobe lights are having on me, mirror ball effect inside my vehicle. So You know, he wants to subject me to the torture for as long as he can. And it is difficult the same way most of us will not drive with our interior light of our vehicle on because of what it does to our focus of our eyes and so on. I mean, this thing is like it is in my vehicle flashing and the guy held. I try to pull over to let him pass. I realize he's not interested in passing. He's probably just having fun. He moved a little to the right. I suppose he saw me adjust my mirror. And I'm saying, what is this about a motorcyclist? I was so happy. When he seemed to have been going into Cicero or Kubari one time, I think he must have turned off the main road. And so that effect behind me. But if it can be there bothering me and other people, why isn't it bothering the cops? Why aren't they pulling up people? There's just, I mean, maybe I should research that part of the traffic laws and highway code, whatever, that actually specifies that your vehicle lights must be yellow light, and it tells you, I think, you know, the acceptable limit of the wattage, 55 watts or whatever it is, and so on. All of that, I remember long ago reading in our laws, is now all kinds of different lights and all. I mean, and I've been saying all the time, it is okay to come every time and declare zero tolerance, especially when there is a killing, when somebody shoots somebody dead. It's okay. It's good grandstanding and posturing to come and do that. But you will not go and just bust every murderer and every shooter. Sometimes you have to work your way up. Criminals have an arrogance about them, especially when they are operating with impunity. When they've broken the law and nobody has caught them and pulled them up. A man who has killed somebody is likely a man who feels he's on top of the world, and so what the hell, breaking traffic laws. He's been the distance. He's been way beyond that. Bust people over road safety violations, and you never know who you are snaring and snagging in the process. Lawbreakers tend to have a mindset about them, you know. A mindset of impunity. Nobody can do me nothing. Nobody can touch me. Police, please, please, please. The citizenry can't do anything. They can't do it for themselves. You must be able to reel in some of those lawbreakers on the road. I'll say no more on that. Because I personally feel, and I'm sure many people will agree with me, that this thing is getting worse by the day and night. Anyway. Like so many people, I was monitoring that UWP meeting on the William Peter Boulevard. My expectations do not determine what the UWP or even the Labour Party decide is going to be their program and their agenda, whatever, for their meeting. But I have to tell you this. I listened throughout as much as I could without interruption. Because I thought last night was going to be, especially when the political leader came to speak, a ton of bricks about the CIP and Martinez and the evidence and those kind of things. I mean, I really thought this was the meeting that Alan Shastney had been holding back. And at all the evidence, he went to Washington and wherever he went to meet with Martinez to see the evidence for himself, and they were supposed to send him. So I really thought this was the place where he going to come and dump that. The UWP had quite a turnout. At least looking from where I was, which is the TV and the Facebook Live and so on. It seemed decent. Someone has suggested to me it had to do with camera angles and all of that. I don't want to get defensive about that. I think that's the first UWP meeting that they've had in a while. They've had town halls and round tables and all this kind of things and so on. I think this is the first public meeting as we understand public meetings on a platform and so on. So, like they used to say for the COVID, there was a lot of pent-up demand for travel and all of that. Maybe there was a lot of pent-up demand in UWP supporters for a regular, traditional outdoors meeting. And so when I looked, I felt their crowd was okay. It was a decent crowd. I won't go and say 10,000 and 15,000 and all these kind of exaggerations. But neither am I going to try to do any kind of estimate. It looked like a fairly decent crowd. I mean, If Labour Party has such a crowd, although Labour Party holds its meetings, I think the sprawl of people that the Castries market steps permits. And so you can see, boy, there were people far up there up Jeremy Street, there were people going up this street, there were people by the Printry, there were people on the roundabout, you can see all of that. The boulevard tends to be a fairly confined, fairly constrained space. It can still hold a lot of people, mind you. But I expected that maybe that is one of the reasons why Flambeau supporters came out. For the same reason, that is one of the reasons I was looking to hear this kind of dirt that Alan Chasney had gathered on the CIP and Ernest Hilaire and McCloud Emmanuel and Philip J. Pierre and who else and about the CIP. None of that came out last night. That's what surprised me. Where was all that? Has the Martinez thing died an unnatural death? Has it gone away? Not so much with a bang, but with a little whimper. A whimper of silence, of pretending. I have to tell you, that was one of my surprises. I don't know if I was too surprised that Mr. Spider Montuts wants to try to play around with ranks about general, I suppose. Maybe copycatting the SLP, maybe being original, I don't know. About this one is a general and that one is a general. But I had to laugh a bit when I heard Spider likening Alan Chasney to being a sergeant major. Alan Chasney, he's a sergeant major. And who else is a sergeant? But then when it comes to introducing neophytes, greenhorns, just comes, as Rush Clark, Spider is referring to them as generals. He's referring to this other person as a general. Sometimes people who are, they're generals. But the man was referring to Alan Chasney as a sergeant major. I don't know if it is the major in the sergeant major that made him feel it was so senior. I don't really know too much about military, about the hierarchy of military ranks and so on. But I happen to know that the very first rank in militaries, where they call someone an officer, all right, is lieutenant or lieutenant, depending on which pronunciation you prefer, British, American, and so on. Above lieutenant, generally, there's captain. Above captain, there's major. Above major, there usually is lieutenant colonel, then full colonel. Colonel is the last rank before you move into the ranks of general. So you'll have the lowest rank of general, which is usually brigadier general, normally just called a brigadier. Then you'll have a major general. Then you'll have a lieutenant general, and then you'll just have a straight general. Above general, sometimes there's a rank in some militaries they call field marshal, which is usually a wartime rank and this kind of thing. A general who is actually given a battlefield command of several divisions and corps and armies and whatever it is. And so a general is one of the most, if not the most senior rank in nearly all militaries traditionally arranged in the world. But Spider is going to call Alan Chasney a sergeant major, which is the most senior rank of sergeant, the most senior rank below lieutenant before you become an officer. Now, loosely, when we speak of officer in the police, we refer to all police as officers. Sometimes the person is a constable or a corporal. They have not reached the rank that if it were military, they would consider them officers, where you take on khaki, I suppose, at the role of inspector, superintendent, assistant superintendent. So in the police, very loosely, we call everybody, an officer. But in the military, it's a different thing. A sergeant is not an officer. A corporal is not an officer, Or even if they are officers, they are what they call NCOs, non-commissioned officer, because once you have to go to lieutenant, you have to go through a certain process called commissioning, different thing like that. But nevertheless, a sergeant major relative to a general is a very, very, very junior rank. I mean, you may have sergeant, you may have master sergeant, you may have, this kind of sergeant and so on. But, sergeant major, I think, is the highest rank of sergeant before the next step is to become a lieutenant or lieutenant. But Spider is referring to Alan as a sergeant major. But he's referring to Rush Clark and who else, and Chico, as these are generals. Spider, take your all in the fire. Take your all in the fire for ranking, these apprentices or guys who just come as generals and ranking him as a sergeant. A sergeant major is a sergeant. It's probably the most senior rank of sergeant. Like I said, there's sergeant, there's master sergeant, there's this sergeant and sergeant major and all of that, But you go in and call the fellas general, and you call in your political leader, your one-time prime minister, head of your cabinet, you go in and call him a sergeant major. Spider, go and do some reading on the ranks and so on. Before next thing you cause Alan not to endorse you, or if he endorse you already, to de-endorse you, for any grossly seat. Maybe they're holding you back because they expect the grossly seat will be cut so they can decide where they're sending you, where they're sending who else and so on. Whether they're going to give Prudent his seat to contest and so on and so forth. But this is part of the things which really amuse me there. Anyway. Somebody sent me a message where he said, the EWP repeated what they learned in 2016. They used the stage, tents and screens to cut the venue in half, effectively using half the boulevard to make their crowd. Don't get me wrong, they had a good turnout. But you could see from the excitement in Spider and Prudence voices that they themselves were excited coming off all the flops they've had recently. I'm always happy when Shastny and Guy, etc. are forced to spend some of what they stole. Now that's a little strong, As Guy Joseph said, nothing against him has been proven. They've done investigations with Bob Lindquist, with so many, and they have not been able to prove anything against him. So, to come and to say that they stole, that one caught me a little bit. I should have spotted it earlier because I did read the message. To spend some of what they improperly acquired to mobilize people, at least some of their hardly well-gotten gains, whatever, gets back to the ground. Okay, I don't want to call anybody volley or anything like that without proof. Wait for special prosecutor and, that sort of thing. Let's not do that. But I heard Guy Joseph, who, if I remember well, is a minister of religion. I don't know if he's a pastor. I know he's some elder person in the Adventist church. And it came about last night after he said about, look at all the money they spend and all the time investigating him, and they have not been able to prove a single case of corruption against him. He went on to say that this is what is called slander, and like he feels the Labour Party is slandering a lot, slandering him, slandering Alan Shastny. And do they realize that slandering people is of the devil? It's something demonic. And he quoted a passage from James, about slander and so on, which is earthly. I think the phrase it uses is earthly, animal, demonic, and the things that the tongue can do and all of that. Nice application of scripture and quotation, I would say, to Mr. Guy Joseph. Really on point there. But does that include what you said about Joachim Henry following the tragic death of his son? And it so upset him that it led to a confrontation inside an Adventist church of which you both are members, if not congregants, where he felt he couldn't take it anymore. You were on the pulpit and he came into the church, and I think his wife said, you were very evil to say those kind of things, and he was very upset. You're happy it didn't come to blows, it almost did. Wasn't that slanderous, Mr. Joseph? Unless you have denied saying the things that Mr. Henry was so upset about in believing that you said or in claiming that you said. I don't remember ever hearing you denying it. And even subsequent to that, allegations that were made about Mr. Henry having a gun or bringing a gun to the church, when Mr. Henry has said and provided purported proof that he did not have a gun, that he had in fact turned over his weapon, to somebody, a status officer they call it in the society, or made sure that his firearm was lodged with the competent authorities, which I think are the police, so that he did not at all risk the temptation of confronting you with a gun, that he didn't have a gun. But there was talk that went on. Was there slander involved? Should we be concerned about these kinds of slander? Was it a kind of slander to try to incite the population in believing that the government was keeping fuel prices excessively, unreasonably, artificially high, so that the government could and was pocketing a markup, a profit of $6.80 on every gallon of gas? You said that with such verve and such uncertainty and such conviction. Mr. Joseph, was that a slander? A slander for the purpose of mass incitement? Did you not say that about the 680? Should you have said that? And have you ever come back and apologized for it? Withdrawn it and said, I made a mistake? Have you ever done that? If you did, I didn't hear. I'm just saying. When you were challenged about it, you said, okay, give you time. You'll look for it. You will find it. Has it ever been found? And even last night, on top of it all, another thing which I observed was the putting on notice. There's always somebody's putting somebody on notice. We're putting the government on notice. We're putting Philip JP on notice. We're putting the people of St. Lucia on notice. We're putting the police on notice. It's a put on notice ki parafini pièce. Every 2 sentences, somebody's putting somebody on notice and so on. You know one thing about the overuse of words and expressions? They tend to lose, not their meaning really, but they tend to lose their effect. They tend to lose their impact. They become blasé, they become hackneyed, they become worn, they become trite. They no longer have the effect. And there's too much of putting people. You're putting Lon Theophilus on notice that he better come and clarify whether it's German or not. You're putting this person, is a put on notice, Kipa Kafini PS. And one of the things they're putting the government on notice is that if at the next time that the fuel pass-through mechanism is reviewed or updated and new prices for petroleum products, gasoline, diesel, kerosene, LPG, whatever are issued, I think the pass-through mechanism is what? Every 6 weeks or whatever. That if the government does not lower the price from where it is now, $16.95, $16.50, to below $13. So they want it to at least $12.99, I assume. But the government must lower the price of fuel from $16.50 or $16.95, wherever it is now, to bring it down to below $13. So you want the government to lower the price by almost $4, just like that, with a stroke of a pen. Is it easy like that to lower fuel prices, Mr. Shastny? Weren't you the one who promised to do it after you were elected in June 2016? That when you had your first victory rally, one of the things you said that when you get to your office, your first order of business will be to sign a document to lower the price of fuel, to bring it down. Were you able to do that? Or did you realize it couldn't have been a rude awakening? You must have known better than when you were playing to your audience, to your gallery, to your base like that for excitement. Although I don't see why you needed to be doing it at that time. You just won the election. You cannot unwin it. They cannot take you out. You don't need to impress people anymore. You could have said to them, one of the first things I'm going to do is to look into those fuel prices, why they're so high, whatever, to see to bring it down. But you said you're going to sign something to bring it down. Were you able to do that? Why do you think now you can pressure the government to just, at the stroke of a pen, at some kind of decree, at some kind of martial declaration, to just say we want the price of fuel to come down? Did you have such control over the price of fuel, Mr. Shastny? If anything, I heard that I was out of St. Lucia, but you did something that didn't help to bring the price of fuel down. When there was that wiggle room to do something with the price of fuel, what you chose to do was to extract more from the fuel value chain by increasing the excise tax from $2.50 to $4. How can I increase that? A 60% increase, they told me you increase the excise tax by. Now you want Philip J. Pierre and the government to just go and to tell importers and retailers and whoever else is involved in the supply chain that they must just bring the price of fuel down by $4 a gallon, gasoline and so on. How does it work that way? There is no pricing mechanism in our country that has greater transparency than the price of fuel. We know what the landed cost is, and I keep on telling people, stop this foolishness about the price of fuel on the world market and the price of crude oil. We do not import crude oil. The fuel that we import here is refined fuel. It's already refined. So all the markups associated with refinement and transportation and insurance and all these sorts of things, when they arrive here, they already have those prices added to them. It is called the landed cost. What is the landed cost when it reaches here and it is pumped from whatever ship or tanker into the terminals of Rubis and Sol and whoever else the importers are? The landed cost will determine the price per gallon at that point. Then you have to give the importers a certain markup. Then it goes to the various gas stations, whether on the Badouage Flat, whether, at Massad Grosile, whether on the Millennium Highway, at Bexon, wherever, you have to give them a markup, a margin for them to stay in business. And then the government gets its excise tax. Anytime you all talk about lowering the price, it's always about the government intake, the government revenue that you want to attack. Right? Government has no right, no business getting any revenue. But that is only when the government is of the Labour Party. When your government was there, it saw an opportunity to grab more of the excise tax, and it did it. It needed it. With all this grandstanding, showboating, cutting of the VAT from 15 to 12.5%, you needed an extra source of income. You needed another cash cow, so you had to go there. But now you want to come and dictate in an almost bullying tone to the government that they must lower it or else they will feel the wrath of the people. Which people they'll feel the wrath of? Except the fanatics that you have persuaded that you still have any kind of viability politically and otherwise about you. How does the government do that? We're not producing fuel, we're not refining, we're not producing oil, we're not drilling, we're not pumping it out of the ground, we're not doing. Up to now, you and Dominic Fede, the two main ones who have been pushing that line, cannot show us how the government of St. Lucia can, by policy or legislative action, bring down the price of fuel, especially to the extent that you all are saying. How does it do it? How does it do it without wrecking the importers, the retailers, without wrecking the government and hence wrecking the finances of the country? I have a bit more to say on that, but up to the time for the commercial break. This is The Real Issues. We'll be right back.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prio's Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The Ministry of Health has launched yet another service under universal health coverage. This new service includes conducting pap smears using liquid-based cytology, which will assist in eliminating cervical cancer.
This new method of conducting pap smears is more comfortable and more convenient. So ladies, contact your nearest wellness center to get to know about our pap smear clinics.
Turnaround time for HPV testing is 1 week. Any abnormal or positive test, there'll be a following week for cytology testing. We're also going to test for HPV strain 16 and 18, which are the most aggressive, which cause cervical cancer. We can also test for other STIs, such as herpes simplex type 1 and type 2, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and others.
Patients with an abnormal HPV and an abnormal cytology shall be referred to the colposcopy clinic. At that clinic, we shall assure that you get the proper treatment and guidance.
So come in and access this new service. Your health is our priority.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
You're listening to The Real Issues. The phone lines will soon be open, but just let me say a couple of things. The focus and the target of UWP attacks that are very shamelessly almost always based on blatant falsehoods. It seems like the slander planners, the planners of slander. Be very careful, Guy Joseph, when you see slander only outside your own realm, your own political family, your own self-serving interest. Be very careful. There's a lot of that taking place in the United Workers' Party. And I hope that as a minister of religion, if that's a good description, that you don't fall into the trap, into the spiritual trap, into the soul trap of only seeing the wrong in something when it is supposedly, reputedly, allegedly done by opponents, by those outside your political circles and political family. Be very careful, Mr. Guy Joseph. As a Christian, I am not here to lecture you, but I think there has to be a sense of justice, of equity, of fairness. There has to be this kind of thing that, look, if it's wrong, it's wrong. And if you feel they're slandering you, Mr. Joseph, you don't engage in slandering or turn a blind eye. Pretend that you didn't see, that you didn't hear, that you don't know about the slander that's taking place, whether of Ernest Ile whether of any person, because the latest I see that they're trying to concoct some kind of slanderous basis to go after is Henry Mangle. Henry Mangle, the former permanent secretary, who is presently our consul general in Toronto, Canada. I see the gearing up of an attack to go after him, but it ain't any corruption they can find, it's always a matter of he has offended some taste or some expectation, some kind of thing that the person rubs you the wrong way, but you can't say that they've broken any law. And so the Consulate of St. Lucia seems to have implemented some measures that have to do with security of access to the consulate, security in terms of screening to ensure that St. Lucians living abroad in Canada who apply for passports or renewals or whatever, that they're screened to ensure that the whole process is not vulnerable, that there are not any loopholes that can allow fraud. As you see, this passport thing, it's a serious thing, a very serious thing. The reputation, the standing, the relationships of a country to do business with others depends a lot on the integrity of things like its passport. That's why they're moving up to machine readable and biometrics and all of these things to minimize fraud. And that is why I say this government led by Philip JPM must know what turns and what hangs on passport fraud, that they would not dare to mess around with CIP passports and so on, where things can be picked up and your entire relationship with Britain, America, Canada and so on can turn on its head if you allow any fraudulence to enter into the process. And it's not just them. The entire Caribbean, the OECS, right now they've decided to take a collective or joint approach towards that CIP because they recognize that the enormity of the task and the process of screening out, defending against, being vigilant for fraud and attempted fraud, it requires everything, all hands on deck. And so the St. Lucia Consulate, and this is something I want to come to you in a while, it's very Donald Trump-like. Donald Trump pulls out of an agreement, a joint comprehensive plan of action, whatever, for Iran to make sure that Iran does not have any kind of free ride towards getting a nuclear bomb. The agreement involves the United States, Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and there are others too. I can't remember who the others are. But all those countries, they come together and they agree that we will require Iran to do so and so and so, to provide verification, to do this, so that we can monitor their centrifuges. We know how much raw uranium or a centrifuge can handle, how long it will take for it to purify uranium, whatever, to plutonium XYZ. If we do that, they cannot have a nuclear weapon before the next 20 years. We'll do all those kind of things. All of these kind of signatories, But Trump who seemed to have had some kind of fetish, some kind of perverted fascination with Obama, even if Obama was never his opponent directly in any kind of election or contest. Just the same way somebody here seemed to have had a real boner for Kenny Anthony and so on, to always be trying to show that he's as good as or better than Kenny Anthony. Right now, Kenny Anthony, like someone in the tug of war who's let go of the rope has completely off balance you. Now you're in the house, every 2 words you say, you agree with the member for Viewfort South. You fully support what he said and so on, because the prime ministership is not there for you to come and try to prove anything again. It's the same way with Trump, Trump gone. He pulled out of the agreement because everything he can say, Obama signed and Obama gave them a deal and Obama gave them a way that Iran has a blank check to get a nuclear weapon. And the guy he pulled out of the deal. Iran now is feeling okay. We don't have the deal. Our hands are not tied to any kind of verifications. We can do what we want. They return to purifying, turning back on their things, whatever. We don't care. You pull out of the agreement, you pull out of it. The other countries try to tell Iran that even if America pull out, it is still bound because they are still there. Right now Iran has become totally out of control, outlaw and everything. Why would Iran be attacking Israel with missiles unless they know they have something? It's like a little 5'4" man going among some big tall fellas who armed and so on and giving them attitude. He likely knows his packing. So if any of them big as they are come, he know he can put down at least one of them. He got his gun. Iran probably know they have the nukes already. So they can go and take on Israel because if push comes to shove, they can fling one at them. Well, this is what I find is happening in St. Lucia. This is what I find is happening in St. Lucia. You come and you take certain courses of action and you do not want to engage properly on certain things because you know what evil plans you have about things you're going to be doing, etc., etc. And so, Henry Mangal is being blamed that he has made the process of getting to the embassy so difficult because, now to go in there, you have to be searched and you have to leave your cell phone with the security and all these kind of things. All over the world, there is a move to understand that the security of diplomatic missions is under threat and you have to protect it. You have to do whatever you can at any moment, especially when you're vulnerable, when you're small, low pani niduvan, nide. Any kind of thing can happen. Don't wait until it happens. Take precautionary measures, whatever, your passports and so on. If people come and they say they need an emergency passport and so on, you want some verification. You want an emergency passport because to travel to St. Lucia because my passport expire and my child is whatever and may die and I want to reach there. If the consulate asks you to provide some kind of evidence of the emergency, why you have to feel so offended? And there are some people who, sadly, because they are supporters of the government, they believe they are owed that. So, they come and they ask for something. And, I'm a Labour supporter or I'm a soldier. I fight for the Labour Party for so long. So you should, don't give me this kind of trouble. Right here at home, there are people who have this kind of attitude. People who don't want to understand that there are certain things, there are processes associated. That the wheels of government sometimes turn slowly. That Philip J. Pierre did not invent or cause the bureaucracy, that the bureaucracy is there. That the systems of checks and balances and so on, so that you can separate between the gatekeeper and the functionary. So that you can separate between the one who signs it and the other one who scrutinizes it to make sure that the signature is there and that the signatories are authorized and so on. It's the way of government. It serves sometimes a good function of preventing fraud because it means that if you see people who were to rob the treasury, like the 1.2 billion that we hear that's missing and so on, it would have to take collusion. It would have to take impeccable coordination among a very large number of people because of the slow grind process of review and all of that and look and it dies on this one's desk until it is picked up again. It goes into the in-dip and it's on a special day of the week it will be put into the out-dip and all this kind of thing. We know that. So they're after Henry Mangal, not because they can say he has done anything, he has issued passports fraudulently, but because he's insisting that certain things be done. And I had to ask somebody, do you believe that Henry Mangal, as the general counsel, that he on his own, just like that, will just implement rules like that? The same way like Trump wanted to make people believe that Obama just gave Iran a free hand, a carte blanche to get a nuclear weapon. Because Obama he wanted to discredit. Because Obama is the guy who has a certain touch of brilliance as an intellectual Nobel Prize winner and all this kind of thing that Trump envies. Same thing here in St. Lucia. And so he went selling the message that he's pulling out of the deal because Obama, Obama and the British. And the other thing too, these people always like to come and sell the message That an individual such as the Prime Minister or whatever just, said, okay, go ahead, do that. Maybe that was Alan Shastney's way of doing it, my friend. With Galaxy, the same Galaxy you have a problem with now, with Theo Aking, with all of that, the man who just wants to show that he's so on top of everything, just go ahead and just do it. That is not the way a government that is operating according to law, that is driven by policy and regulations does things. They have a framework of consultancy with experts and technical people and permanent secretaries and the chief accounting officers and whatever to look at things, budgets, resources, allocations, etc. before they make such decisions. So the attacks have been coordinated and some usual suspects, are in it, including one who was successfully sued for a significant sum of money, who I'm sure has never paid a dime. He never bothered to even appeal. He never defended the lawsuit, much less to appeal it, because he knows he doesn't have a leg to stand on, but he's still allowing a manipulative person to just drag him along into those things. Evil people who, when they out to destroy somebody, lay your day, or say, day, oh, yo, yeah. So Henry Mangal, because of security measures being implemented at the consulate, that people can't just walk in and, be doing any amount of things to compromise the security of the consulate. Because of implementing what I'm sure were measures that came out of consultations and police and security people to say, look, if you want your passport situation, you cannot do this, you will do that, and so on. Right now, day after. I don't want to go into too much detail, but expect the next few weeks, if they decide to proceed, the focus will move from Ernest Hilaire and it will be Henry Mangal, because the Toronto chapter of the UWP is trying to move into high gear. Maybe everywhere they're trying to move, but it seems the only basis they can do so is by slander, to allege corruption and so on, and they can't prove it. Just like the Martinez thing has fallen flat. It's fallen flat on its face. It ain't going anywhere. That's why it did not feature in last night's CWP meeting. So they realize the Martinez thing has flopped. So they're trying to whip up something else. And I see that the next place they want to go is after Henry Mangal. I can't put my hand in the fire for anybody, but just like I said about Ernest Hilaire and McLeod Emmanuel, it would surprise me greatly if the kind of things they're hinting at, if they have not yet said it. And that's what they do, It's insinuation and innuendo. They drop it, So and so and so has built a big house costing $2 million. Where did he get the money? Drop those little things, and then you drop something about CIP so that people will make the association in their minds. It must be the CIP money he's thieving and that sort of thing. They're doing that. The telephone lines are open now for your calls. The WhatsApp line, the line where you can WhatsApp call, is 487-9849, area code 758, of course. 487-9849, and the local landline is 4533-911. While I await the calls, let me just urge us not to get carried away and believe that we need to name and rename everything after Julian Alfred. I know, the exuberance, the hype, the excitement is there, properly so. Well, let's not make a case for everything. Iwanora Airport, name it after Julian Alfred. So name it, everything will be renamed after Julian Alfred. There are two reasons why I say so. Like I've told you, overuse of something causes it to lose its effect. You go everywhere you turn, you rename the Cicero Primary School the Julian Alfred Primary School. You rename Monkey Town, Julian Alfred Town. You rename the Cicero Main Road Julian Alfred Road. You rename, the Millennium Highway, the Julian Alfred Highway, and so on. It become over Julian Alfred then, There's no such word, of course. Unlike Rush Clark last night, who I would swear I heard talking about people who have shedded tears. Maybe I heard wrong, but I heard him say about people who have shedded tears. I'm sure as time goes on, he'll get better. We'll take him under their wing and tell him not to say things like I once heard a minister of government in the UWP talk about the crises that arise from time to time. Rush Clark, I wish him well. Looks like a very young man, looks very green and has a long way to go, but it is the green that eventually mature and get ripe. So I suppose on the normal path of things, he'll get there. Caller, hold on for me, please. Just hold on 1 second. For example, if we have to rename the Millennium Highway the Julian Alfred Highway, I would like to see it in a much more advanced state of complete, in a much better condition than the way it has dragged on, like I call it, the Forever Road. The Forever Road, which is in danger of being the Forgotten Road. They're making progress, but I just find this thing has dragged on too much. And if it is in that kind of state of the way it seems to have struggled to move on and to progress and to advance and so on, that we're going to call it the Julian Alfred Highway at this precise time when Julian is at a peak of achievement and glory and so on. To me, that road would not be a good representation of us. In a better condition, yes, and I suppose it will get there. But you know the disgust I have expressed about that Millennium Highway, the Forever Road, that is in danger of becoming the Forgotten Road. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon. Real Issues.
Good afternoon, Shelton.
How are you doing?
Shelton, tell me, were you surprised when you heard the fact that a former controller of customs who was used by the former government to try to destroy the integrity of Honorable Hilaire, right? Being a candidate for the United Workers' Party?
Well, he's no longer controller of customs, so let's say now
but doesn't that also fit into the whole accusation of the conspiracy that was going on between himself and Chasney?
You stopped me when I was going to explain myself.
Okay.
He's now retired. He's a free man. He can be whoever he wants to be, wherever he wants to be, whatever he wants to be, where politics is concerned. But when I watched him last night, I said, oh my, Chico, that's how I called him back in school days and everything. Chico is now making it look like he's confirming all the narrative and the accusation and the things that were said about him being a Flambeau mole and a Flambeau plant who was on a mission for Flambeau to destroy Ernest Hilaire and to embarrass him. Now, I'm not saying that he was doing it, but people can be excused for thinking and for concluding that him being a candidate of the United Workers' Party is the normal, is the expected fulfillment of the journey that he has been traveling for them. In other words, that he was doing a hatchet job for them on Ernest Hilaire, and his becoming their candidate is the natural culmination, of the hatchet job they suspected he was doing.
All of our all the accusations that were headed his way, and it's clear to see. But beyond that, I mentioned this morning, in my estimation, as someone who knows crowd pretty well, that there were no more than about 2,000 persons at that event, and I said so on a backdrop. It didn't just come out of a vacuum. I said so out of a post I saw in which the Canadian hack saying that there were 10,000 people at that match, at the meeting last night.
Okay.
Which was way off, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we expect them to be off. We expect them to be off on the numbers, but not at that length. That to show you how deceitful they are about everything that they do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And how they expect to win an election based on deceit only. That's all. Everything that they do is based on deceit.
Yes.
And here you have as you know, the leader of the opposition accusing Dominica of losing all the correspondence banking and all of that. When the governor of the ECTB explained it, that he knows nothing of that nature. And yes, he said there have been discussions for years now on concerns about the correspondent banking that had nothing to do with CIP, because we have small economies, and the fact that those banks are profit driven, and some of the business that they do with us may not be profitable in their eyes. You know what I'm saying? When they're talking about doing multi-billion-dollar contracts and businesses and so on, and when they're making a few $1 million here and there what kind of fees that they're making. That's small numbers for those banks. You know what I'm saying? So it's out of a courtesy that some of them may keep that correspondent banking with the smaller islands, but it's not profit driven. So we have to be cognizant of those facts, when we speak. And as I said, the point that really caught me last night was the fact that the leader of the opposition is saying that the Labour Party should not be allowed to finish the two remaining years of the mandate. That somehow or the other, the Labour Party has to go. So I'm wondering by what means that he's saying that they have to go, when I know it is the purview of the Prime Minister to call the next general elections.
Right.
But it seems that Alan Shastri has a heads up on when the next general election will be called.
Let me tell you something about this UWP meeting. And I get a sense that it's unsettling some Labour Party supporters who are inclined to panic too easily. I've said that before.
No, it's not panic. It's just the balls of the man.
Yeah, but let me just say
the 2 years should not be allowed.
Yeah.
That the Labour Party should not be allowed to live out the 2-year remaining mandate.
Yeah, that's just bluster and bravado. Okay, we know that. He wants to show like he's so much in charge and running things and so on, when in fact he's very beleaguered. He's presiding over a party that to me is depleted, virtually stranded and so on because of his, if there is such a word, misleadership, Well, let me just say about the UWP meeting. What is the great surprise about UWP at approximate midterm, not even midterm, at 60% of the government's term, having a political meeting that they spend so long hyping and promoting? I mean, it's not today, They've been promoting that meeting and talking about it and saying how big and massive it is. What is surprising that some more of their supporters than may have come out would have come out because they gave the impression that they had the government on the ropes over that CIP thing, over that Martinez thing, and oh boy, the 22nd is when they're going to come out, with everything. I am sure many, I wouldn't say most, I wouldn't even dare to say most, far less all, of the UWP supporters who turned out there last night came out because they thought that there was blood in the water, I mean, they come out like sharks who believed there was going to be blood in the water. They came out believing that some bacon was going to be brought home, you understand, that they were going to bring home, and none of that came. None of all this Martinez hype that had been building for so many weeks came out last night. Now, you do that a few times and people will see the con game that you're playing on them, that you're overhyping things, making them believe that they have something more to grab on and to really, tear into and so on. And there's nothing like that. Everything is putting somebody on notice. Putting some generals, some new generals, you're endorsing them, but the generals are being led by a sergeant major, that kind of thing you do. And sooner or later, people will see the fraud and the con. They've already seen it, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I will listen on radio.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks. We're due for a break, aren't we? So if there is no call on the line, let's take the break.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knightsmed Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place, Jeremy Street, Castries. Citygate Bar, the CDC opposite the market. Plants Place, Denry Highway. Arlette Supermarket, Soufre. The Release Stress Bar, Labrie Highway. Cool Joint Bar, Victoria Schwazel. Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Yes, the best a man can get.
The Ministry of Health has launched yet another service under universal health coverage. This new service includes conducting pap smears using liquid-based cytology, which will assist in eliminating cervical cancer.
This new method of conducting pap smears is more comfortable and more convenient. So ladies, contact your nearest wellness center to get to know about our pap smear clinics.
Turnaround time for HPV testing is 1 week. Any abnormal or positive test, there will be a following week for the cytology testing. We also going to test for HPV strains 16 and 18, which are the most aggressive, which cause cervical cancer. We can also test for other STIs such as herpes simplex type 1 and type 2, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and others.
Patients with an abnormal HPV and an abnormal cytology shall be referred to the colposcopy clinic. At that clinic, we shall assure that you get the proper treatment and guidance.
So come in and access this new service. Your health is our priority.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thank you for staying with the real issues. I got some little bit of bad news for you. No, nobody has died. I just learned during the break that the WhatsApp line is unavailable today, 487-9849. So maybe a few of you, stay on the line, caller, I'm coming to you. So maybe some of you have been trying to call it and not getting through. It's because it's not operational. I didn't know that before. We're sorry about that. And really apologize for any inconvenience that this might cause. Brother Anson Maxwell, I see you were trying to call my phone. I suspect it's probably because you can't get the WhatsApp line. As soon as I get a break, I'll call you right back, okay? But we have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, Real Issues.
Hi, good afternoon, Shelton. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Shelton, like you, I listened to the UWU meeting because I don't know what can tell me they hear or somebody tell them. I want to hear for myself. So I heard a number of things. But what particularly disturbing to me, that if as a political organization, you're there as a government in waiting, you have two members of the opposition in cabinet, so they should be somehow part of the government in some way. You want to come back into government, instead of you instilling a hope, you know, all kinds of things into the people, you instilling fear, anxiety, and anger, and that's what you're doing, and you want to come back into office. You have to give the people hope, give them a chance to, you know, okay, I can take a chance with this political party because the things they're saying, the things they're doing, you know. But all you're doing is instilling anxiety and fear and anger. That's all you're doing. Understand? And you spend a whole 5 or 6 hours on a political platform. No one of the or supposed candidates or endorsed candidates can attack the policy of the government in one way or the other. Nothing of that nature happens.
Yeah, the only thing.
That's all they'll come with.
Yeah, and an appeal to anger, you know. You want us to get vexed. Nous voulons fâcher, nous voulons venir you know, yeah.
And you tell the people, oh, this government cannot stay in office for 2 years, and you must. Who then that for just me?
And
all can believe that he can just come and upset the will of the people.
All you are doing is demonstrating desperation, and desperation can be dangerous. You know, what are you going to do because you're so want to get back into office that you cannot countenance the legally, the legally mandated 5 years. Labor waited 5 years for you. Yeah.
And he's also trying to equip people like birds of a feather flock together, all that kind of crap. You understand? And I like I said on the show this morning, when he got into office in 2016, he was dubbed the Amazon of Pussicola, and that's a bird. And he started with 2 jailbirds to try to take down St. Lucia. You understand? Yeah, that's what he did. He started 2 jailbirds to take down St. Lucia. So the 3 birds now, but birds of a feather, are flocked together. You understand? Now, on the issue of the passport thing, he said he's gonna file an injunction in the High Court to stop the government from selling passports to Galaxy. I didn't know the government was selling passports to Galaxy. I didn't know that. I thought Galaxy was the one in charge of getting clients and doing all kind of thing. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but would they sell passports to Galaxy? And the mere fact that he lied about the amount of passports, say 56,000 passports were sold, whereas the police department is saying only about 18,000 thereabout. So you can see this man is not properly thinking. He's just going on to what they say. He say, they say, Martinez say. You understand? And at the end of the day, who's none the wiser? The people in front of him or the people in St. Lucia entirely? Because it is wrong to lie. One thing to lie to people, and one thing to forget that you lied, or you forgot what you said. Because I don't believe he has a good memory. Because to lie, you must have a damn good memory. And he also forgets that he was Prime Minister. He was the one who organized the Orange March for gas. Remember that? And after that match concluded, he came back on national TV and said, I did not march for gas. I marched against the policies of the government. Are you going to fool the illusion and come march for gas again?
Toujours qu'à changer l'anglais.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He keeps forgetting all the things that he has said. You understand? And you're going some military terms. I like it. How can a sergeant major
be in charge of generals?
That doesn't no sense to me. The spider tried to try and get something going, but in the end, he just demoted Shasta to the lower.
He just messed up everything.
He just messed up everything big time. You understand? And with I heard Guy Joseph talking about slander. I think that you did mention it, slander. But who was the biggest slanderer?
Yeah, look at what
you stood among people on the political platform, slandering people all about the place. You said nothing. You said nothing. You even clap and jed all that white teeth out like a dentist. You said nothing. You proclaim that you are Christian, but yet all on Christianity went out the window, went to your political platform. And they tried to do a Trumpian last night, in the States, because they eating the dogs and they eating the cats. So you reckon with a dead dog stinking. You understand?
Yeah.
Does that bring votes to the United Workers' Party?
Yeah, I heard Sarah pushing that line about the dead dog on the highway, and I'm saying, but what is the relevance of that? That is sounding.
Exactly. Is it the first dog?
Yeah, that is
the first dog that ever died on the highway.
Yeah, that is sounding so much like they are eating the dogs, and they are eating the cats. And they're eating the pets of the people.
I mean, this is so ridiculous. And if you're coming to come out with all this hype about you having a political meeting, but you know what? The thing is, they wanted to have a match, Shelton, to counter what the Labour Party did,
Yeah.
But they realized not good work, so they opted for a political rally in the boulevard.
Yes,
so it's an enclosed area, so they will show numbers. You understand?
Yeah,
but
man.
I can tell them, the majority of people who are on the lives, who are on Facebook and who are on YouTube, a lot of them were Labour Party supporters. But you know why? We wanted to know who are the candidates that was going up for elections. That was our main interest.
Okay.
And we wanted to hear the lies and debunk the lies.
Okay.
So when people come and say, "Oh, UWB had 10,000 people, 4,000, 10,000 on that thing," we were there. We were helping you all to get numbers.
Yeah, they were certainly not 10,000 or 4,000 or anything like that. You see, when you have a fairly small space and you have a decent amount of people that appear to fill it, you can easily make the mistake of thinking there are more people than there are there, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that without even attempting to estimate the crowd and so on, my friend, they had a decent turnout. You understand? So I'm not going to argue with that and all of that.
You know the most laughable thing about this, Shelton? But for two things. One, none of them None of them counteracted any of the policies of the government. One. Two, of all the policies that the government have enacted, social or otherwise, all of the UWP people standing in front of Shassi benefited under the policy of Philip J. All of them.
Let me ask you something now.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Felix de Tourville, also known as Champagne. Have you been able to find out how's he feeling? Because he told me he sounded real confident that he would be the UWP's pick for Castries East.
I'll tell you something. There are people. Champagne is a strong-willed individual. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah.
He knows how to speak. He knows he can command the English language. He knows how to do everything. He's a very strong-willed individual. I know when you're strong-willed, you have a strong mind. You understand? I am of the view that the UWP will not want Champagne because of his ability. You understand? They wanted a yes person to be. Champagne is not a yes person, you know. Champagne is good, just go with the flow. Champagne is not a yes person. They would not want Champagne because they know later down the line, shit would have hit the fan.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, whether they are taking Champagne or not, it will be out to national.
Okay.
But Champagne must realize by now. Remember last time he came on Cry on TV, how they don't support him? Nobody support him to be a candidate of the WP. Nobody. Not one.
Okay.
Everybody, because the way Shasney arranged it for a yes vote for Chico. Because he have to pay back Chico for what Chico did for him.
Okay.
So that was one of the payments. I can put you as a candidate for the United Workers' Party. Understand?
Okay.
So now Chico feels like he's big now, the big balls to take on Philip JPL. But what he doesn't know, the people are the ones who are going to judge.
Because I kind of wondered, maybe I just didn't spot them, why it was that I don't think neither Champagne nor Fortuna seemed to be around the meeting, at least, not in any place where you could spot them last. Maybe they were there, but I'm just saying they didn't seem to be out front, so is there...
Sheldon, see right now there, don't mind you see the fuss that they put on at the boulevard. There is a lot of discontent in the UWP.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised, and I suspect Grozile may end up being another flashpoint for discontent.
Yeah, because Chasney came with his same mantra in 2016. You must totally submit to me.
Okay.
Understand? And there are people who are not willing to submit to him. So he sidelined them. And he put the people who are willing to submit to him and kiss his backside.
Somebody tell me, Grozile will be another flashpoint, and possibly Denry North will be another place where there could be, some little...
because a lot of people are fighting for Farah to run.
Okay.
But they don't want Farah.
Okay.
They want somebody else who has a checkered path.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, I'm getting a message which says, well, there's Miguel who says, and I know he's talking about the excise tax that Flambeau increased from $2.50 to $4. Not only did they increase it by 60%, there were times when they could have passed on the savings to the consumer, yet they collected almost $8 in excise tax, capping the retail price at $13.95. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon, Real Issues. Hello.
Good afternoon, Shelton. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. Shelton, I just had a little problem with a bank in town level.
A problem with a bank in Canada?
I have an account.
What's that?
I have an account with First National Bank. I went in there this morning to put my wife's name onto my account, a joint account. And I couldn't do it. Because they said my wife needs source of income.
Wait a minute, is the bank in Canada or the local bank?
Local bank right there.
Okay, all right. So they said you couldn't put your wife's name because they need... Okay.
Source of income. I said my wife is not working. She's in her 70s. She doesn't have a source of income.
Isn't it a savings account you're talking about that already has funds in it and so on?
Yes, my account. It's my account.
So what I'm saying, why do they need source of funds and everything? Don't people have savings accounts where they...
Exactly what. I said, look, we did not come to deposit money. All I want is to add my wife onto my account. Or it can't be done if she doesn't have if she can't prove source of income. I said, but my wife is not working. She's a housewife. She's retired a long time now. She don't draw in money from NIS. You know? So I said, well, look, you have all my information there, you know, and in the bank you might have me registered as a land proprietor. I sell land, because when I went to them, to my account, a year plus ago, I had to set where my money was coming from. And I said, look, I'm not working. When I did money, I sell a property, I sell a piece of land, and that's where I get my money from to live off it. You know? So I said, well, put her down. The same thing. Oh, no, they cannot do that. She has to prove that she does that. I said, what's the business we're doing? It's just when I need a few dollars and I have something said, I sell it. I bring them into the bank. I said, everything's written down there. And they have other sorts of funds where who's owing me money and how they pay and how they're not paying. But they insist I can't put my name, my wife's name on my account to have a joint account with my wife because she does not have a source of income. She can't prove source of income. Then they say, for me to do that, I spent an hour and a half there. They went from one supervisor to the supervisor, 3-4 of them had a chat there. They talked there, then they went to I think they about some other manager, I don't know. Until the lady came to me talking very nicely, just to tell me the same thing, they couldn't do it. You know?
Yeah, let me just tell you that I have had not exactly what you're having, but the local banks, it seems that they are under a lot of pressure for something called compliance. And the compliance departments of those banks are very busy, they're under a lot of pressure, they're very strict, and it is all part of this whole de-risking global thing about countering money laundering and against countering the financing of terrorism and a whole lot of other things which has caused us to lose banks, which has caused us to have correspondent banking relationships under threat, not because of CIP, but because of the stringent requirements you have to ensure that it is as difficult as possible for money launderers and terrorists to move money around. You understand?
Yes.
So let me tell you, I went for a loan for a vehicle, and I mean, basically the loan officer from the first day I showed up, based upon, my accountant, told me that, it's a breeze. Don't worry, everything is taken. Until when it left his desk and it reached the bank's compliance department. And I can tell you the people were giving me trouble over if I leave on a road, whether I put on the paper that the road is called Daniel Drive. And they're showing that it really should be called Daniel Road. So that will take a whole lot of time. They want electricity bills. And that will not do. I must go to Lucilec and get a map plan of where the place is so that they can see the map plan for Lucilec and they can verify what is there. And then here's the big kicker. Which if you say I was a different person, I would say, boy, if I had known when I was invited to serve as a temporary senator, I would have said no. Because now they have me flagged as a politically exposed person, And for whatever that means, partner, a little once in a while when a senator is not there, I go for one session, whatever, Now I'm flagged as a politically exposed person. So they have to take all kind of special, things for me and a statement of my assets and this and that, man. This thing went on and on and on and on and on. And I said, my goodness, look at me, me, who has never been involved in anything untoward. I am known across the length and breadth. And I'm telling you, just a look. And when the loan officer, you could see he was embarrassed because he had basically put together everything and had as much said, okay, this guy qualifies for the loan and give it to him. This thing got held up. This thing dragged on. This thing was frustrating. Until somebody tell me, boss, it's nothing personal. It's the compliance environment now and the requirements that they have to meet. So it will not surprise me that it's not you they want to, treat in any bad way. It's just a matter, it's the whole compliance thing. Is your wife being brought in as somebody?
At the same time, I was not depositing money. All I was adding my name onto my wife's name onto my account.
Yeah. But you see, if it's a savings account, they can't prevent you from putting in money and taking out money. So what they're thinking now is what is your wife's source of income in case she comes to make a $9,000 deposit that they know this is a source of funds? Because the criminals use all kinds of fancy ways to move around money. They'll give you to deposit on your account and tell you, okay, look, 10,000, 1,000 is yours. Just hold the 9,000 for them and then transfer it to this one at some later time. And my goodness me, there's a whole sophistication in this world of crime. So now,
because, for instance, like, you have your source of funds in there. But if you go with money, you have to bring a source of funds for exactly what you have there. So they don't go into the account and say, well, this is this and this is that. Yes, you could bank your money. I had to on another bank there, and I had to get source of funds. Well, every time you go to deposit your money, you have to have source of funds for what you have in your hand.
Yeah.
For what you have in your hand.
So basically, it was just a no you were hit with, that they're not adding your wife.
Yes.
And they didn't give you any optional alternative, say, for you to do that, you need to get something notarized. It's like it's just no.
No, this is I have to open a new account completely, update my this and update this and update that. You have to go and get new source of funds and come back. But the exact same documents I have there. That's what I'm going to bring back to you. That's all I have. You know?
I don't know.
That's all I have. Anyway, I told them if I took my damn money and I left it back.
Okay.
I closed my account there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing with us.
Okay, all right.
All right. Message says, did you hear Shastny say he will file injunction to stop Galaxy from selling St. Lucian passports? Is this possible? Is it only now Shastny is realizing that he can file injunction, he can go to courts? Didn't he realize that all the time he was harboring and consulting with criminals like Martinez and so on, harboring and consulting, that as leader of the opposition, as somebody with standing, that he had the option of going to the courts for this and that and the other? I don't know if he can. I'm just saying, he's kind of late to the party in terms of using the local legal and judicial systems to get certain things done or attempted. We have a call on the line. Good afternoon. Real Issues.
Good afternoon, Shelton.
How are you doing?
I am not too bad, thank you. Cool and easy as the wind blows.
Fair to partly cloudy. Fair to partly cloudy. Ular.
Malar, man. Malar. Show me Malar. Shelton, I notice we are preoccupied with numbers at last night's activity. Before I say that, I must let you know that today's comedy is brought to you compliments of last night. We're not concerned with numbers. They could have paid any number of people to be there. And good, they had a crowd. We're not even comparing numbers either. But what was the content? What came off of that platform last night? How much more informed are we? How much better are we going to be should they emerge victors in the next elections? I like the fact that they now recognize they have to be prepared for an election. The election that they don't determine the date of. But when they determined the date, they were not ready. They were not prepared. They couldn't call it. And even on that day when Shastny was in Parliament to give us the date, he was there like, whoosh. The only thing I got from last night is that there are dead dogs on the side of the road in Bois d'Orange. Shelton, do you know what the people of Dayglow and that Odsa area...
Wrap up, please. We almost at 2 o'clock. Yeah.
The people of Dayglow are experiencing stenches that are created by the garbage from the entire island caused by the past administration that was in the boulevard last night. Further expansion or expounding later. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you very much. And that'll about do it for us for the Real Issues today, the start of another week. I want to thank everybody for participating. So many more messages that I would have liked to read, such as one which says, didn't Allen fence the PM's building? Didn't he issue dress directives to his office? Didn't he cause Parliament to be sealed? Good questions, I think. We have to wrap it up now, though. Thank you very much, Jaquan, for another great job at the controls. We're sorry for the loss of one of our lines, but we hope to be able to do better from tomorrow, same time, 12:30 to 2. Another broadcast of The Real Issues. Until then, Shelton Daniel saying enjoy the rest of your Monday and signing out.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Monday, 23rd September 2024 were Double Daily Grand 1, 4, 10, 12. Big 4, 2, 2, 9, 9. Big for multi-X, 5X. Pick 2, 1, 3. Pick 2 multi-X, 2X. 1 off, 1, 6, 4. Lucky 3, 5, 7, 5. Lucky 3 multi-X, 2X.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on